Hey there, winos. This is Vince.Wine. I know my setup looks a little different today. I'm traveling this weekend, celebrating my birthday. And I thought this was the perfect time to kind of go back and check out some of the wines that I used to love when I first started drinking wine. So we're gonna pop the corks on some of my old favorites on today's Wine Lab. Okay, check out my lineup here. It's like a throwback. I'm just going back in time with these. Wine number one, Fetzer's Gewürztraminer. Okay, this is Fetzer Gewürztraminer from Monterey County, and again, this is just one of those brands that I used to gravitate towards. You know, Gewürztraminer is just one of those really beautiful varietals that can sometimes offer you a little bit of spiciness and a little bit of like pepperiness and something like a white pepper, even a smoke, along with all those really beautiful stone fruit like apple and peaches and pears, and they tend to be really on the sweeter side as well. And when I used to first drink wine, I would gravitate towards this because it was just such a pleasing experience. All right, let's dive into this Gewürztraminer here. Check out that really deep, beautiful, sort of lighter golden color here. It's really, really beautiful. And as I turn my glass, I'm not really getting like these super thick or syrupy legs. And sometimes in a white wine, if you see thick and syrupy legs, that can be indicative of sort of a high residual sugar. So this doesn't quite strike me as something that's gonna be super syrupy. Let's take the nose. Oh man, that is so beautiful. There's like this freshness that jumps out of the glass. Okay, and it's not like booming with aromatics, but when I get my nose in there, yeah, there's like this misty sort of fragrance that comes to mind. It's very floral. Think like a bouquet of white flowers. And then yeah, like a lot of green apple. Time to taste. And this really is gonna be like my first time probably in, I wanna say like 8 years since I've had Fetzer. Oh, now I remember why I liked it. It's such a pleasant wine. It's just such a fun wine to drink. Let's see, it does have a really rich mouthfeel and it's a little crisp as well. So it does give me like this fun sort of vibrant feeling on the palate. It's mostly about that sort of fruitiness that I mentioned, that green apple, a little bit of pear, getting some slight honey notes in there as well. And then yeah, that touch of spice that can be present in Gewürztraminer, that's totally there too. Okay, now even having said all that, is this overly complex? No, not really. It's pretty straightforward, kind of exactly like textbook Gewürztraminer. And the finish does start to drop off a little bit, not overly lengthy in the finish, but it is so pleasing. And one more thing, there is just a touch of higher end residual sugar on here, so it's slightly sweet. Up next, White Zinfandel. This is just the wine. This wine deserves so much credit, no joke. I mean, there was a time when you couldn't go anywhere without seeing White Zinfandel on the menu. Probably all throughout the 1990s, White Zinfandel was such a big hit. You know, we in the wine industry didn't really know what to do with Zinfandel. It was, for a long time, made into a dessert and sweet wine. In fact, is today still made into a dessert and sweet wine. It was called the poor man's cab. And it wasn't until Turley over in Paso Robles really started to treat it like a high-end Cabernet Sauvignon and a high-end red wine that we got that Zinfandel that we know today. Before that, it was known by the name Primitivo in Italy, and the varietal even stems originally from Croatia, where it was made to red wines there, but didn't quite have the fame that it got in the New World's California. And in California, this is practically the state grape. But again, before we got there, we turned it into a rosé. So in case there's still any confusion out there, there is no such thing as White Zinfandel. There's not a White Zinfandel varietal that's out there. Zinfandel is exclusively a red varietal. And to get the rosé, all you do is allow the skins to spend a little bit of time, just a few hours, with the juice to extract just a little bit of that red color over all that juice. Okay, let's try this out. So if I remember correctly, this is gonna be probably even sweeter than the Gewürztraminer. Let's see how it goes. Just in the glass itself, it is really beautiful to look at that. It is just a gorgeous pink color. Look at this bottle. That is so attractive. It's just a really pretty pink, like a flamingo pink. Just really, really gorgeous. And it's just so like almost weighty looking in the glass. And then yeah, ooh, you guys gotta see this. Okay, check out all of those legs as I turn the glass here. That is what I'm talking about. Those tears that are coming down there. That is probably a sign not gonna be from alcohol. That's gonna be from, or even body, that's gonna be residual sugar. This is definitely gonna be a sweet treat. Let's try it out. On the nose. Yeah, that is just that old smell that I remember. This is watermelons as the day is long. This is almost like watermelon Jolly Rancher. That's what it reminds me of, like that watermelon candied flavor. And it reminds me of sort of like a tropical fruit cup, you know, like you open up your fruit cup and it's got like those kind of like canned juice tropical fruits in there. Let's put it on the palate. Oh yeah, that is Jolly Rancher as the day is long. Super sweet. It's got just a touch of crispness to it as well. I can easily see why this is such an attractive wine and why it's existed for so many years. I don't know if it's going out of style as people discover really proper dry style rosés from like the Provence region or even a lot of New World regions, but you know, there's something to be said about the sweet treat that is this wine. I would love to put this with some sparkling water, throw some fruit in there and make a spritzer out of it. It really is delicious. This is the lowest end rosé out there, but you know, there's something really fun about it, and at a $5 price range, you're just bound to have a good time. It's a people pleaser. Okay, next up is a really respectable producer. This is J. Lohr. Undoubtedly you've heard of this, and they have some really super high-end wines out there that are up in like the $90 price range, and they are phenomenal. So it's a wonder to me why they produce these wines that are sort of this lower price range, and I suppose that's just for the branding, and they're doing a really good job. So this is the J. Lohr Merlot. I used to be in love with this wine. I really do remember this being sort of a staple for me as far as what good red wine is supposed to be. This is a 2018 Merlot. Yeah, that's just got a really gorgeous color to it. Okay, take a look at this. It's got a really beautiful, deep concentration to it. And as you come out on the rim here, it just lightens up into a nice ruby red. And I can already tell as I turn my glass here, you just get some light staining there. You just get a little bit of these red tears there. And that is just super indicative of a really nice, rich, full body there. So definitely excited for the Merlot. Let's take the nose. Wow, yeah, you know what? I would say there is terroir in this glass. I'll volatilize the esters here. It's not completely jumping out of the glass, so let me open up those aromatics. Yeah, it's a little bit muted, but for my first take on it, it certainly does speak with a little bit of that sort of gravelly aromatic. Not a ton of oak presence, not a whole lot on the nose. I'm gonna go ahead and throw it on the palate. Oh. Okay, I can definitely tell that the more time I spend with this, I'm really gonna enjoy it. It kind of does everything that I want a red wine to do. It has really easy, gentle tannin, not a whole lot of alcohol on there. Just a little touch of crisp acidity on there as well. Means it's gonna hold up to food pretty nicely. A lot of rich, dark purple fruits on there. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's just not enough. The finish definitely falls off. I'm actually, even right now, I'm really reaching to get any flavor out of there. I can't get a whole lot of flavor out of this. In fact, it's completely gone. I need to get it back on the palate. There's just like a little bit of spice in there too. It makes it really pleasant. Those sort of pyrazines, a little bit of like jalapeno spice, and even a touch of like black pepper spice as well. But yeah, it just falls off so fast. Where did you go? Where are you? Come back. You in there? Hello? Okay, overall, that was a bit of a bust for me. That's probably the worst one so far, which is really sad for me to say because I used to even be a wine club member with J. Lohr, and again, they've got these super high-end wines that are phenomenal. This just isn't one of them. Time for Bogle's Old Vine Zinfandel. Whoa, check out this cork. I don't remember this wine having this cork. Old wine and old friends make perfect provisions. I missed you too, old friend. Okay, just a quick story about Bogle. I actually found them when I was visiting near the area in Clarksburg, and I remember I was just driving through and thinking, wow, this is a really beautiful area. And I was driving next to the Delta there, and I thought to myself, God, I'd love to see vineyards. And sure enough, vineyards started to pop up, and then I go, wow, I wonder if there's any wineries around here. And sure enough, wineries started to pop up, and Bogle was one of the first wineries that I ever found in the Clarksburg area. That's a really cool, still up and coming AVA. If you can get there, I recommend you check it out. It's so quaint and beautiful with really well-made wines and very hardly known. So it's a cool find. Okay, Old Vine Zinfandel. Okay, the truth of the matter on this one also is that I didn't really drink Bogle Zinfandel a lot when I first started drinking wine. It was actually Bogle Chardonnay that I would find a lot because it was sort of that more buttery and rich style of Chardonnay that I was really attracted to before I started to appreciate the more mineral-driven and terroir-driven of the old world and the stainless steel versions of the new world. But I already had a white and a rosé, so I thought let's give this a shot and let's see what their quality level's like. Okay, it is super dark and inky in the glass, just like I would imagine. Really thick and syrupy legs there, and it is just black at the bottom of the bowl with sort of this like pruny color of red around the rim. Let's take the nose. Okay, once again, I am reaching a little bit for that nose. It is slightly muted. I am getting some really typical Zinfandel notes in there, some sort of classic jamminess, but I am getting a lot of this sort of black pepper, and honestly, there's a little bit of root beer in there too, so that's kind of surprising. That's really nice. Yeah, little plum, little vanilla, little cedar, little black licorice, and almost something like Tootsie Roll. Maybe hints of coconut even? Wow, the more I'm spending time with this, the more complexities I'm pulling out of it. Again, I'm reaching here because it's just a touch quiet on the nose, but as I dig, I am finding quite a bit here. Let's take the palate. Ooh, totally called it on the Tootsie Roll. There's like this sort of root beer, cola, Tootsie Roll thing happening in here, and there's almost like this sort of like tree bark or black pepper sort of thing happening in there as well. It's a little bit sweeter on the palate, for lack of a better term. Maybe not quite to residual sugar, but there's like this sort of dusted oakiness that's laying over everything. And I'm thinking like coconut, Tootsie Roll, that kind of thing. Deep black fruits, of course, jammy condition, but a little bit more like black licorice. This is actually pretty tasty. Again, it is not a huge long finish. It's not an explosion of aromatics or olfactory going on here, but it's perfectly drinkable, a really well-made wine, and I can definitely spend some time with it. I actually want to let this be open in my glass for a little bit here and come back to it in a little bit and see if it opens up with any more complexities. Okay, well, that was certainly a lot of fun. Here are all my big winners for the day. What a cool thing to go back and to see how much your palate has developed. You know, in 2014, I became a certified sommelier, and since then, I've really been able to appreciate wine, having more of a knowledge of it, and that's the thing, it's like art. The more you know about something, the more you can appreciate it, but that doesn't mean that you have to be an art whiz or a wine whiz to be able to tell you what you like. And that's the most important rule of wine: drink what you like. 12 years ago, this is what I liked, and I can totally see why. All of these wines are super approachable, really, really gorgeous. They're a lot of fun, and it's still a treat to go back and revisit them every now and then. And then when I really feel like diving into the glass and finding all of that complexity and terroir, I know that I can find those wines too. Well, with that, winos, if you enjoyed what you saw here today, please leave me a like. That helps a lot. Don't forget to share this video with your wine friends. Let me know in the comments, what were your favorite wines when you started drinking? How has your palate changed? What do you like now? And until next time, winos, drink safe and drink well. Zinfandel is specifically, especially, no, there's a word for like exclusively a red varietal.